Hey guys, my name is Jenn Carrasco. I am a serial entrepreneur, founder of many six-figure businesses. I am also a skincare creator, an IFBB pro athlete that is extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow their business and, most importantly, helping you and everybody else to own their shit. Welcome to Own Your Shit, the podcast. This is the show where we stop the comparison cycle, we eliminate the need for a secret sauce, and realize that the faster we own the way we stand in our own way, the faster and shorter the route is to creating that life we all crave. So, with that being said, now let's own your own shit. Hey guys, welcome to Own Your Shit with Jenn Carrasco again. And just like always, please rate, review, and share to get this word out to everybody else. So I have an amazing man here with me today. He is actually one of the Apex executives, and he is all around humble guy, but complete badass. He is running multiple companies, and I'm going to let him share a little bit more about himself, his journey, and how he overcame a lot of things to get where he is now. So I'm going to let you take it away, Steve.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for having me. I was really excited when I saw your, especially the title of your podcast about owning your shit. I'm like, this is one that I'm going to love doing. Because a lot of the other ones out there that have been on talking about this or that or whatnot, but not really getting down deep into stuff and have the invitation right in the title to do so. So I guess to start out, I'm Steve Schabacker. I live in the Chicagoland area with my wife of I'll be 25 years in January and 3 children, but they're all grown now. So we're doing the fun empty nesting thing, which is awesome most of the time. With kids when they get grown, then it's not necessarily there's no problems. I thought I was set once they got out of diapers, but then they hit the teenage years, and then they're grown and they're adults, but that's still the parenting's never done. I'm sure you know that well, but
it's more expensive.
I have a couple different businesses. I have a cybersecurity company that does basically IT support and cybersecurity for small, mid-sized businesses that don't have staff of their own. And then lately, I have a security investigations company also. But our latest endeavors have been in the firearms industry, into a couple of gun stores and a gun manufacturing company and whatnot. And I guess I'd be considered a serial entrepreneur. I love starting things up. And for the first couple of years, and then I get bored and want to do something else. So I think in the end, my end game will probably be into business consulting, because I really enjoy helping others grow, and it's a whole new set of problems for myself. So to solve, so I don't have to make my own more problems, to be able to have something to solve.
Can I ask you one random question before we get on about everything else? How do you feel like the gun world and the gun industry right now within the last 2 years has been? What has been the change that you've seen?
Oh, it's huge. That's a great question. And it's something we talk about often. I mean, it's interesting because, guns have always been a hot political topic. In theory, in history, if you lean right, you love guns. If you lean left, you think they're evil. Yeah. And there really had been no middle ground. It was A or B. Well, what we're finding, especially since COVID, the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever, that there's been a paradigm shift in what people think about guns. They found that when a lot of the things went on in the bigger cities, with right after COVID, and then a lot of the looting and riots, they realized the light went on for a lot of people that says, hey, you know what? I am responsible for my family's safety. I used to be able to pick up the phone and call 911 and assuming, hey, a couple of minutes, there's going to be somebody here to save the day. Well, now in this world we're in right now, you can't make that assumption. You can't make it for safety, and you can't make it even for medical care. So a lot of the other things we do go right along with a lot of the gun classes. Is a lot of the they call it stop the bleed, or basically like a couple hour trauma medical. Hey, learn to do just enough to keep someone alive till you can get them to the hospital, sort of a thing. But we've seen a shift. So, and then in the stores too, the guys were always telling me, say, this is really different, where we're getting a lot of people in that would never set foot in a gun shop. And this plays honestly right into our hand of who we are and how we do things, because we're really trying to disrupt the industry and do things very, very different than a traditional gun shop. So these people are a lot more naturally comfortable. So we
Yeah.
get people of all ages, all ages, all sex, race, creed, everything. It's just wild, just the melting pot we get. And they've been a lot of people, you can tell that they're not comfortable, but it's a unique opportunity to come alongside of them, and to let them know, hey, you know what, just because we may differ on a couple of issues, 95% of what we believe is the same. And when you come in here, this is one place we definitely believe in the Second Amendment and your right to protect yourself if you choose. And so we really have embraced this new crowd of people. And what we're seeing is it seems to be causing, at least in Chicago area, a little bit of a political shift as part of it, in that, it used to be right or left, and now there's this large chunk of people right in the middle that really don't seem to have an identity anymore, because they're questioning everything.
Yeah.
They've thought forever that, hey, we're supposed to be afraid of guns. Guns are bad. Guns are evil. And then they come in and they're like, well, no, these people are normal and they're really nice and they're really helpful, and they seem to care about me and my family. And it opens up their mind to where I think it's going to definitely creating an environment, along with this whole thing of being, where maybe we can have something besides a two-party system. Maybe we can have other spot in the middle that really matters, as opposed to having to do what seems like sometimes making a choice of lesser evils in some cases, or just compromising and say, well, these are my two choices. Well, no, I mean, I want that instead. I don't want these two things. I want this. And so it's been interesting. It's been a really neat journey, and it's a really neat time to be in this industry for sure.
I think that's one good thing about COVID is I feel like it definitely woke a lot of people up with the fact of how we do have to protect ourselves. And the fact is that nobody's going to come and save us. And I do feel like I've noticed, especially within the last 6 months, a great blend of people coming together now. And they're like, you know what? We both believe in the same things. Maybe ours is a little bit more right, ours is a little bit more left. But most of the time, we're agreeing on the same thing of what's happening now. And so I'm actually, I mean, maybe it is a blessing that it did happen to bring light out of different things. So,
It certainly changed some things. It's making a lot more people think. In the course of it, I'm sure you can testify to this as much as I can. That when there's times that make you uncomfortable, or times that try you or really stretch you as a human being, those are the hugest times of growth. And I believe that's also to be true as a society, as not just an individual. You look at how people are coming together now. It reminds me a lot of ways of like back when the planes hit the towers. On September 11th, people were divided. On September 12th, we were all Americans because we had a common enemy. And now it really seems like we're getting some of that again. We're getting a lot more communication lines open. People are just done with the rhetoric, and what, let's just be American and figure out what that means for each of us, and just unite and stop just fighting with each other for over things that that we don't have control over.
amen. Yeah, I agree. So then let's pull it back a little bit. I want to know, as an entrepreneur, what was a couple of your own your shit moments that got you to where you are now?
Well, there's a couple. I mean, the first one, just as far in my life, in my life goes, was when I started. Started as an entrepreneur. Gosh, almost 20 years ago now. I had a cushy job. I worked for ran a project management department for a large high end luxury audio video retailer. Loved what I do. It was easy. It paid well. I got really, really comfortable. And then just before the housing downturn, their business started sliding early. And then they decided, hey, you know what? I was one of the ones that was making quite a bit of money, and they thought I would just be replaced. So easy to replace. So they shifted it and did away with project managers and just said the sales force can just do that. So they kind of did away with the whole department. And it was crazy because for me, I sat on my hands. I felt sorry for myself. I was very, very angry for probably about 6 months. And then after some deep self-analysis, I realized that, you know what, I really can't trust anybody to provide me with a job. I can't trust my future with anybody, so I need to make my future for myself. Um, and that was kind of the turning point when I realized that this was my path. I didn't have any idea what it looked like. I had no idea. I didn't know what I didn't know. I mean, I was so naive; it was just nuts. But I knew that this was my path. I had a few different businesses, a few different things. Some went okay, some didn't. Really didn't find my niche until about 2013, 2000, just the beginning of 2014. Um, I had a successful audio video company at that time. I did a lot of commercial AV work, did a lot of work for churches, businesses, big sound systems, projection screens, all those sorts of things. Had a few employees, was doing pretty well. Met a couple guys that I went to church with at the time who had a company that was kind of like the opposite of mine, where they didn't have guys that did the actual installs, but they did a lot of the programming stuff and a lot of the IT support stuff. Well, over the course of time, we started doing some work back and forth, and then had one discussion over dinner and said, "Hey, would you be better together than we would be apart?" So we ended up creating a new entity to merge our two companies together, and it went amazingly well. And then, so
Awesome.
we started out to about 2014. We really started, and then together, and then after about a year, we had doubled our revenue separately. So combined our combined revenue, the when we were separate, was about $500,000 a year apiece.
Mhm.
Together, we grew it to almost $2 million our first year.
Nice.
Second year, we tripled that. The third year, getting into just before 2017, mid 2016, we were well into eight figures. We were 12, 13 million that we made, that we sold that year. But then we made a lot of poor choices. Made a lot of to that point, we had salespeople and we had a sales force, but we really didn't have any systems in place. We didn't have strong, true marketing where, hey, I know if I put X amount of dollars into advertising, this is what I'm going to get out. We had just grown so fast as word of mouth and just our salespeople working, that we thought it was just going to continue. So we made a huge investment in a new facility, hired some more people, bought some more trucks, went in pretty deep to do that. And then things fell off. The referrals stopped coming. Some of the big projects, the companies started putting stuff on hold. And then the next thing you know, 6-7 months later, our rent's going up, cam's going up, spending more money. And then that's the other big mistake we know, is back then we didn't really know our numbers like we should have.
Mhm.
We kind of knew, but we didn't really know because we were doing so well. We were just like, oh, this is just easy. This is easy. And then next thing you know, we're in a crash state. And it led to a couple notes getting called in from a bank on us. Didn't want to work with us. We had personal guaranteed them. Long story short, led to a bankruptcy of the company. Lost everything. Personal bankruptcy. Was able to keep my house and some things. So that was a blessing. But I had to start over. So 2017, it was start over, reinvent.
And
to nothing.
That's huge for people. And that's something that I'm glad that you went over, because it was the same for me as a young entrepreneur, right? We don't look at the fact of our numbers. We just look at money coming in and we're like, oh, we can handle that. We can handle that. But we're not educated to learn these things going into a business. So that's why I feel like if we can bring that up and really speak about that and talk about that, and make that huge for people when they're first starting their companies, because they fall into a company because it's their passion and their love, and they're doing really good at it and they're making good money at it, but they don't look at it as the business aspect of it, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, for me, I learned that, hey, the time, when you first start out, yeah, you got to pay attention to your numbers, but when you start doing well, you don't need to pay less attention to them. You need to pay more, because it's just an amplifier. We thought at that point we were too big to fail, that this was just a gold mine. It was, there was nothing we could possibly do wrong, and we couldn't have been more wrong.
How many years were you in at that point?
Well, we're to that entity with that merger, we were almost 4 years in.
Yeah. And that's usually the timeline they say. It's like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Learn some huge lessons. Everybody says, well, hey, would you go back and change it? Because I think then, well, hey, if I knew then what I know now, I mean, I have zero doubt in my mind that company would have been easily
Yeah.
a 9-figure company by now.
Yeah.
However, I can't change anything because I learned such valuable lessons, and they were expensive lessons, and they were painful lessons. I mean, my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, everybody had seen, oh, hey, you're the success. Look at this, 10,000 square foot brand new facility we have. Look at this. Look at, you've got 6 trucks. You've got this. You've got that. And it really looked like. And then when it all came crashing down, I had to eat some humble pie, and it was, it was tough. That was one of the hardest things I've had to do. Just to tell everybody, that I failed. Then
Was it with your relationship with your wife during that time?
That was rough. I mean, she was very supportive, but because what I was putting on myself because of it, yeah, it was bad. Because it was completely my fault. It wasn't hers. She was very supportive and was right there with me, and really tried to lift me up. But for a little while, I was down. It took me a couple months to to really figure things out. But that was a catalyst to that. So then which actually kind of in the end led me to Apex and led me to where I am today. So just before we decided to bankruptcy, I was into complete denial. I still thought we could save it. I still thought, oh, we're going to come back stronger. And then I saw on scrolling Facebook one night, late at night, couldn't sleep, saw an ad from, if you're familiar with Wake Up Warrior, Garrett White, Sam Falsafi.
Yeah.
Saw one of their ads when they first started, it was early Wake Up Warrior. And it spoke to me. It talked about like just having a one-dimensional being, having, being successful in business or being successful in your family or in your faith or in your fitness, and just having one of those or two of those did not equal, you could fall. A 3-legged stool is pretty, even a 2-legged stool is impossible, but a 3-legged stool is still difficult to stand up on. You need all 4 legs. So basically, I ended up signing up with them, getting in there, found my spot, and then decided to go to one of their live events. And it was March 2017. I went to they had a new live event. The original one was Wake Up Warrior. That was like 5 days long or something like that. The one I went to was a 36-hour crucible. So it was, they tried to take everything from that 5 days and cram it into a day and a half, and went almost straight through. So I get there, and at that point I am completely out of shape, like 1,000 times worse. I mean, like I was almost 400 pounds. I couldn't go up a set of stairs without breathing hard. And at the time, I thought I was going to go there, and I knew there was a big physical element. I knew that, I read up on Kokoro and some of the other things that they were basing some of this stuff up. And I was so naive to think, it's going to be fun. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to learn some stuff. It's going to be all, we're just going to sit around and talk and, talk manly man stuff. And it's going to be fantastic. Well, man, it was tough. They started out at like 2:00 in the afternoon, head out on the beach, walking around with logs, running up and down the beach, doing things I had never done before. But the interesting thing is, it's probably because they were yelling at me so much, and I was just in a different mind. I did it. I think I probably puked a couple times. It was rough, but I made it through that day. And then it was late at night. I was maybe midnight, 1 in the morning. I said, okay, you guys are going to go back to your hotel. You're going to get your all uniforms all cleaned up, because we were full of sand and all kinds of other stuff. And we're just you guys better be ready to go. I don't remember if it was 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and look sharp, be ready to go again. So I went back, got myself all cleaned up. That took like an hour. I had sand in my boots, sand everywhere. And anyway, so then I finally laid down. It's maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and laid down. Woke up about 2 hours later, and I felt like I had a whole body Charlie horse, especially from the waist down. My legs and calves and thighs and buttocks, everything was just in a knot. I couldn't move. Felt like I was going to die. Felt like someone was stabbing me. Was going to call 911, and then somehow the mindset I was still in was like, oh no, you can't do that, because you might wake up some of the other guys, and the coaches will know that you went to the hospital, and then you'll get in trouble and you'll have to run more. That's what I was going through my head. And I was like, okay, so got myself dressed, hobbled down to the front desk, and then called an Uber and went to the emergency room in an Uber. Got there, hobbled up to there, and they thought I was having a heart attack from the initial test, and then they thought I also had a blood clot in my lungs, so they did an emergency CT. Wow. This went on from all the way through until 8 or 9 in the morning, and then I was texting the coaches, let them know what was going on and whatnot. and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm just like, you know what? I'm in a hospital in California. It was in Laguna Beach, California, and I'm going to die here, and I'm going to die alone, which was probably one of my greatest fears. I was just like, just like, I mean, it was like the just complete mind fuck, for lack of a better way to say it. And I was like, and then knowing that I came here to do something and I wasn't with my team. Well, they finally figured out, about 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., that I was fine. My heart was fine. My lungs were fine. I had rhabdo. So they started giving me bolus fluids. I had about 4 liters over the course of the next 2-3 hours. And then I finally started feeling better. I was up. I could actually move my legs. I was up walking around a little bit, trying to stretch out. And then this voice in my head started saying, you came here to do something. You need to go do it. And it just wouldn't stop.
Nice.
And then so I started talking to the nurse and say, what do you think? What do you think about getting me out of here? And this was like 1:30 in the afternoon, and she's like, oh, there's no way you're going to be here for a week. You're going to be here a long time. You might as well get comfortable. I'm like, there's no way. I was like, there's absolutely no way. And I was getting wound up again, thinking, okay, these guys are out there doing. The coach, they're sending me pictures of what they're doing, and I'm like, I should be there. I should not be here. I didn't come here to fail. I didn't spend all this money to fail. And so the time went on, and then finally I was like, no, I'm out of here one way or the other. It's about 3 p.m. by then. I told the nurse, I said, listen, I said, you either take this IV out or I'm pull it out. I said, I'm leaving. I'll sign AMA. I don't care. Whatever. She's like, just give me a minute. I'll get the doctor in here. So this doctor comes in, and I'm thinking, like, I'm sizing him up. I'm like, who are they sending in? What specialty are you with? This is a shrink. This guy's going to try to sign some papers and hold me here. This ain't happening. Trying to think of at that point in time, I was like, can I jump out that window? Can I, like thinking crazy thoughts because I wanted to finish what I started. Well, after I started talking to him, he was just a regular hospitalist doc. And he said, humor me. Why do you want to get out of here so bad? Told him the whole story of, what I was going through, why I was there, what this thing was about. Looks at me in the eyes and says, I get it. He goes, I'll get you out of here. You don't have to sign yourself out AMA. I'll discharge you, but you got to make me a deal. As soon as you get done with this, you're going to get on the plane like scheduled the next day. And as soon as you get home, you're going to go into the hospital and you're going to get checked out again just to make sure everything's fine. I said, deal. Shook his hand. 20 minutes later, I'm got the IV out. I'm ready to go. Text the coaches. And then about 6 o'clock, they picked me up with the rest of the crew. It was like a crew. It was like 2 boat crews. It was like 12 guys all together, 11 plus me. And they picked me up. And then I went and finished what I started. And we got done about 2 a.m. And
nice.
So for me, that was my change. That was the catalyst to me, letting me know that there's a lot of changes I need to make. There's a lot of things I need to do, that I don't have to go this alone, and that there's opportunities. So from there, I stayed in Warrior for quite a while. They kind of changed their format. So I got out of there. I was in a couple other mastermindy type programs, and then ended up in Apex just this last year. So it's been an interesting ride, but I quite frankly, I always grew up thinking, especially I was like, I'm a grown man. I don't need to hire any help. I don't need a coach. I don't need this. I don't need that. I'm grown. I'll figure it out. I can handle my own. But then after that, I figured out that for me to become the best version of myself, the best thing I can possibly do is, in any given area of life, anything I want to do is find someone who's done what I want to do, and then hire them to coach me and help me get to that point. I can learn from all their mistakes. I can pour the jet fuel on it and get going, and not have to figure things out myself. I could if I had to, but I don't want to waste the time. My time here is limited. I just want to get after it,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's with everything. That's why I have a, opposing coach when I go for a show. I have a health coach. I have a nutritionist. I have a coach personally for to help me mentor for my EOS clients. I have a coach for everything in life. And I think that's huge because it makes you a better person. It makes you understand a little bit more going forward, and you're not trying to figure things out and maneuver yourself. You have somebody who's there to help you and to make you accountable.
And you can't see it. That's the other thing I've noticed too, is I can't see things in myself, or just like I see things in other people, and they'll be, it's like people, some of them are crazy successful, 10 times, 10x of what I'll probably ever achieve. But the simplest little things that I can see clearly and tell them they can't see. And I noticed that about myself too. The view's always clearer from further away sometimes, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the future. So let us know now what you're doing. What is your future look like?
So we're scaling the Sheepdog Firearms. That's our gun shop and manufacturing company, with plans to exit it, or franchise it out. Or we're really not sure.
Mhm.
I want to get myself out of the daily operations. I'm almost there. I do a few things, but not a ton. So I want to get myself out of the daily grind, if you will, to be able to free up to work more as a consultant. I love helping other businesses. I just started doing that, really early this year, and it's been just so rewarding, because the thing I learned about myself is that for the first couple of years of doing something, I'm terribly excited about it. I love it. I'm all in 1,000%. A business, for example. When things start running smoothly and the business is doing great, and then I have to get onto something else, because if I don't get onto something else, I'll create problems for myself to solve, because I'm bored. So for me, that helping others is not only is it extremely rewarding, but it's also a good therapy, if you will, for myself to deal with my short attention span when it comes to stuff. And that's one of the things I've learned is, like, I've been in a few different industries, and like, business is business. It's all the same. Sure, there's different nuances to each one to learn and stuff, but at the core, it's the same core fundamentals that every business functions on.
Yeah. So I have two questions for you. What is a book that you live and die by, that you love to read, and always maybe like push out to other people to read?
There's been a bunch. I read quite a bit and listen to a lot of audiobooks, and that's the one thing I think that's been huge for my growth. But like recently, like, I've definitely read I loved both of Jocko's books.
They're great.
The whole extreme ownership. I've read it a couple times, listened to it, and it's just been huge for me. The other one that I found really, really helpful lately, actually ever since I went to a conference, like a Step It Up training with Thomas Keenan, is Rocket Fuel. It's interesting that so I have a partner in all of my businesses, and it's the same partner. So it's of when I first created the first entity of the merger, there was three of us. There was Jim as my one partner. There was another partner we had at the time. So there's three of us. Him and Jim were partners beforehand, and I merged with the two of them. And Jim's the one that's around now. And when we first met, Jim and I didn't like each other at all. I mean, like, almost like we really didn't work well. We were like oil and water until we figured each other out. It took a while, but once we figured each other out, like, now we're a team. I mean, I'm the visionary, he's the integrator. It's like I can't imagine starting anything else without having him on board, because we've got to the point where we just complement each other so well, and he's great at all the things I'm not, and I'm great at the things he's not. And so I think, just like when I was reading Rocket Fuel, just learning about this relationship, and a lot of the things I knew, but a lot of the things I didn't, and it really reinforced the things. And I had him read it too, and we were both just looking at it together, like, okay, well, that's why this works in our relationship. That's why this works. And boy, if we do this, maybe we can take it to the next level. So that's one I would highly suggest people read, especially if they're in a situation where they have a business partner or two. It was just so helpful for me, and just shined a lot of light, and just, we're so much more effective. The speed at which we're moving now is just, you think it's fast, and then I look back at, like, from the first of this year, what we've accomplished this year is 10 times more than I ever thought possible.
Yeah, Rocket Fuel is great. And I've actually been working with a couple companies that don't want a full implementer. They want to do it themselves, but they want help to do it themselves. And so I've stepped in a little bit just to help them to implement it. So I don't know if you use tractiontools.com, but you should check that out for self-implementing. It is actually a phenomenal, like, website app that you guys can both work on. But
I will check that out. We've never used that. We've read his book Traction, but we've never. I didn't know the tools. That's good. I will check that out. Thank you.
Tractiontools.com, and they have all the different, like, tools that you can download. It's a great site. So I use that for all of our companies because we implement EOS. But also a really good book, if you like that, is Five Dysfunctions of a Team. I really enjoyed that book. It just made you kind of look at the outside of a company and how people bicker a little bit and how you can work through that. It was a great book. But I want to talk a little bit about it's Sheepdog, right?
Sheepdog, yep.
Okay. So I want to talk about that a little bit because I know when I heard you speaking last time at one of the Apex, it really intrigued me because I feel like, you know, me as a woman going into a gun shop, I get a little bit more intimidated. And I like the fact of how you're building this company. So can you talk a little bit about like your online stores, your stores themselves, and what your vision was with doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing we realized is this whole thing, I don't even know if I've told you this before, but the whole thing was kind of as an accident or a hobby or whatever you want to call it. We didn't intend to come into this industry at all. We had the security investigations company and when we started, there was a business partner, another business partner in Sheepdog that was a chief of police, and we had a security investigations company with him also, and he was training we had armed guards that worked for the city of Chicago and secure their tow yards and whatnot, so they had to be armed. And in the process, in the state of Illinois, you have to take a 40-hour class to be able to arm your guards. So they have to have a certification in 20 hours of firearms training, 20 hours of basic training. And so we were teaching this class, and then back in 2012, concealed carry came to Illinois. Well, when it came to Illinois, then people were asking us, "Oh, hey, you guys train guards? Why don't you do this class?" It was a 16-hour class. We're like, that's not our shtick. You know, we don't do that. That's not us. And finally, so many times we're asking kind of all three of us. So we said, well, you know, why don't we just do a few classes just to help out our friends and family and whatnot, just to do it. Well, we did it. And then, of course, they told other people, and it just kind of took off a mind of its own. And then next thing you know, now we're in the firearms training business. Well, that went on for a while. And then people were like, you know what, we're going into these gun shops and we're just not comfortable. You know, we're new shooters. It was a lot of ladies. It was a lot of older folks that had never really had a firearm before. And like, we just go in there, and there's really two types. There's really two types by us anyway. There's ones that have been there for 10, 20, 30 years, you know, your old mom and pop shop. You've got paneling on the walls, a few dead animals here and there that are stuffed, a bunch of glass cases, and two grumpy guys behind the counter. And you have about 5 minutes from the time you walk in the door to purchase something, or the grumpy gets turned on and you can just get out. Mm-hmm. If you look a certain way, if you're a certain color, if you're a certain creed, so a lot of times if you're a lady, you're not gonna get treated the most warmly. They're not gonna educate you. It's what do you want to buy, and if you don't want to buy something, then get out. If you don't speak the lingo just right, you get a different attitude. And then with the glass cases, you know, you go in and it's just all guns. You don't know what you might need or what you might not. And you want to look at a bunch and you want to pick them up and you want to touch them. If you're going to buy something that you're going to, arguably your life may depend on your ability to use it someday, you want to make sure you're buying the right one. They take two out of the case, and then pick one, you know, let's go. You know, it's just that attitude. Then on the other side of the spectrum, we have a couple of chains that are just like, you know, you have like a Bass Pro or a Cabela's, and there's another one that's Point Blank that's here, and they're kind of nationwide, but they're kind of like the Walmart of guns. You know, they have some stuff. The prices usually aren't terrible. The place is usually clean, but the staff is not knowledgeable. They're not friendly. There's no one that's going to come alongside you. If you know what you want, or if you want to go use their range, they're an okay place to go. There's no issue with that, but they're not going to have the expertise. They're not going to go out of their way to, and a lot of times, flat out, the employees are just sales clerks. They don't have the knowledge. They're just punching a clock. So we said, well, there's a hole here. How can we do this different? So we started trying to brainstorming and look at it really from a customer's aspect, from their perception and from the perception of if they were a new shooter. You know, really focusing on the people that weren't into the sport, or you know, hobby hunting or whatever, that weren't comfortable. And the more we did, we said, you know what, these layouts are all wrong. These stores are set up completely wrong. It's not welcoming. So we made it so that there wasn't a lot of counter. There was only a little one counter when you come in. And then all the guns were in a cage. We really wanted to play off the sheepdog. So we're like, you know what, we'll make a room, we'll fence it in, make it look like a kennel, and we'll put all the firearms in there. That way we can control it, but they're all out on display and everybody can touch them all, so that they can go and pick up a dozen different guns and see what feels good.
Yeah.
And through that, we're actually able to do more of a low pressure type sales thing, make people comfortable with saying, okay, when you come in, we always ask people, hey, do you know what you're looking for? Is it your first time? Or are you looking for a gun? And I say, well, I'm in for my first time. Okay, what's the purpose? Are you planning on getting your concealed carry? Is it something you just want to learn more about guns and shoot with for fun? Or is it something you want to defend your home with? And then the conversation would lead to that. Then we give them an area and say, okay, well, these are the bigger guns here. These are the ones that'll shoot nicer. This is something you would pick for a first gun or something you would have for a home defense. And then just go in, touch a bunch, and we'll be right over here. Pick out 3 or 4 that are comfortable in your hand and feel good to you. And then we'll talk about the differences and why you might want to make a decision, what you might want to make a decision based on. If you have any questions in the meantime, we're right over here, but we're not going to hover. We're going to let you spend some time and picking some things up. And they'll usually do that. They'll spend 5-10 minutes. They'll say, okay, I have some questions. We go over there and then we'll talk through the ones that they picked, what the differences are, and why they might want to choose a particular one for their particular for their particular purpose. And then also we always give people a free orientation if they first gun. Hey, all right, well, in Illinois we have a 3-day wait, so they purchase it and have to wait for it to clear. And after it clears, when they come back to pick it up, say, hey, do you want us to show you how to clean this? Take care of it. Some tips and tricks. Hey, do you want to get a private lesson on our range where we can just, where there's no pressure, there's not gonna be 50 other people shooting, it's just you and the instructor, you have the whole little place to yourself. We always have this real small range, so just 3 bays. So when we rent it out for a private lesson, it's real reasonable for cost, and it gives somebody a chance to spend an hour with an instructor and real low stress level and work on the things they need to work on and go from there. So it's just a completely different way to look at it and try to come alongside people. And what we found is that over the past 4 years is that people that, whether they're new shooters and they've never hardly touched a gun, or whether they've been at it for a really long time, we can come alongside whoever they are and meet them where they are and be able to help them out. You get people who have been doing it for a long time. They may have a question on this particular type of gun or this particular brand. Well, not everyone in our store knows everything about everything, but there is somebody that is is really into any particular thing. Like, so, okay, well, we have a guy that's a Glock armor. We have a guy that's been loves 1911, so knows everything about every brand. We have a guy that's into AK-47s. We have I'm into AR-15s. So we have a good mix, and we found that we were able to come alongside everybody and just give them a completely different experience. And then from that, we've also found that word spreads, and that while normally a gun shop is something that people shop local to, so they're not going to drive more than 10-15 minutes usually in most areas. We get people coming from an hour or more away to give us business because, and honestly making the drive twice, because it's once to pick it out and purchase it and another time to come pick it up. Just because they like how we do things, they like how different we are. They're really embrace what we have. So our new store we're opening is Indiana. It's about 45 minutes away from where the one is. And the reason we're doing it is completely led by customers. We had so many customers coming from Indiana over in that area that, well, we should just open a store. And because, like with handguns, you have to purchase it, you have to take delivery of it in your home state. So we were constantly sending guns over the border to different dealers for them to go pick up, fill out the paperwork there and pick up. We said, why not just open a store and make it easier for them? So we looked into it and we did it. And we're not open yet, but the response we've had so far is just pretty amazing. We get, a couple dozen calls a week. When you guys open, and just people stopping by. Our contractors were making fun of us one day. They said, hey, if we're not done on time, it's going to be your fault. And we're like, what do you mean it's our fault? They said, well, we get dozens of people coming in every day. Just, hey, do you know when they're opening? Hey, you know when they're opening? So we're thankfully it's close. It's been going on for a few months now with delays and permitting and a bunch of other stuff. But,
nice. I feel like this is something that's going to definitely be coming into a franchise, which is really nice eventually.
That's kind of that's something we're definitely looking at. We do things just crazily different. Well, even like even the way we embrace social media. And you have to be careful because, Facebook hates guns, but we can't run ads like normal people can. But there are things we can do, and we've learned where the line is and not cross it. And I've ended up in Facebook jail quite a few times because of stuff, but now we've got it pretty much figured out. And people love interacting that way, and they love using Messenger. They love using Messenger, love communicating that way. And we found that by being responsive to people too on there, whether it's on our posts or whether it's via direct messages, whatever, nobody else does. A lot of them have a Facebook page, but very few of them answer in a timely fashion. And even just something like that, we keep getting thank yous. And I didn't figure it out at first because I'd answer somebody or respond to them and answer their questions. And then I'd get this long paragraph of thank you and how great I am. Like, all I did was answer your questions. Nobody does. That's the difference. And like I say, it took me about 6 months of that to figure that out. Like, I'm like, hang on, it should have clicked way sooner, but it didn't. But nobody's doing it. And a lot of I'm sure you see that by you too, is that the gun shops is, a lot of them still use paper. A lot of them don't even have a computer for a POS, for checking out, for registers. It's paper, duplicate. They still make those carbonless forms. I didn't even think they still made them, but they do, because I've seen them in
I know, the little ones. We used to use those back in the day, in the beginning.
Yeah, how many years ago though?
20 years ago.
Right.
No, I'm excited. I think that's great. So I'm really glad that you shared that, because I know, just even for myself as a woman, I'm probably not going to go into a gun shop unless I have somebody else going with me that knows what they're talking about. So I think this is going to be a great change for everybody. So
that's what we're hoping. It's bigger than just stores and selling stuff. We really hope that we can change the industry for the good and push some evolution of it, and really push people along. And it's you get some people, of course, whenever you're disrupting things, that are not happy what you're doing, and always talking, and I get people that we know aren't even customers, probably competitors, leaving negative reviews and stuff. And that's okay, because it's gotten to the point now of a community. It's such a community that we've built that they come on and defend us. We don't even need to hardly say anything. And unless there's an opportunity to post a witty response, then I'll usually always take those up. It's like, because we somebody posted like about our staff were a bunch of uneducated goons, or something like that. And I just of course had to respond to that one. It's like, well, okay, hey, thanks for letting me know. You know what? I did not realize that we hired all these people. They've been working for quite a while. I realized something was right, but I will immediately get them educated. And do you think new haircuts and clothes would help, or what do I need to do here? Just give me some more input, and people. But it's okay. We understand, and for every 10 that like you, there's going to be one that doesn't, and we're completely okay with that. And we're just going to do things our way, and help people. That's the end. End game.
That makes it different, and that makes it you. So thank you for hanging. Thank you for sharing your story and going over everything, owning your own shit moment for everybody to hear. Is there anything that you would like to end this with? That you want to?
Yeah, I would just tell people, it's stuff we talk about in Apex all the time. Is it's everybody has failures. You can grab anybody in that group, and there's a lot of crazy successful people in our group, and every one of them has a story. Every one of them had some shit moments, some stuff that they've been through, some trials, some tribulations, whatever you want to call it. And they've all overcome it, and it's all made them better for it. So I tell people, don't be afraid of the trials, and don't be afraid of the hard times. Learn to love them, because there's just got to be something better on the other side of that for you, whether it's business or life or kids or marriage or whatever it is. Just embrace the suck, do the work, put one foot in front of the other, and you're going to end up so much better in the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you for hanging with me. And again,
it's been a ball.
Yeah, it's I try to keep it fun. So again, you guys, please rate, review, share, And I will make sure to have all of your descriptions down, everything about you, where they can find you. We'll have it all done for you and tag you and everything when it gets launched. So thank you for hanging with me.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, guys, that's a wrap for another episode of Own Your Own Shit. Now that this is half the battle, owning your shit allows you the freedom to create something even better in your life. Getting out of your own way, it doesn't have to be lonely. Making sure to follow me for more advice. Follow me on every social media platform at Jenn Carrasco. My Instagram is Jenn Carrasco with 2 underscores. Find me on Facebook at the same name. And of course, share the episode with friends who need some help in the tough times, and typically helping them to own their shit. So with that being said, see you guys next week.